Hey.
And we welcome now Lesley Davis, founder and president of the Mississippi Advocacy Group. Hey, Lesley.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. So you guys are gathered up down at the Capitol there this morning. Lots of controversy has been in the air regarding this SAFER Act, which would essentially codify women's rights and protect spaces designated for females. We can't seem to get some legislation here across the finish line to protect those spaces. Give the folks a little taste of the background on this and then where we are today.
I sure will, Gerard. Yeah, it's been a busy morning. It sounds like it's been a busy morning in your studio as well. I listened this morning. But, yeah, we're doing everything we can do to fight to save this really crucial legislation. And let me give you a little bit of background. I know that you and I have discussed this on numerous occasions, that never in our life did we think we would be at a place in our country where some are confused about what a man and a woman is, and that men would be allowed in our girls' private spaces where women and girls are most vulnerable, that we would see fully attacked males being allowed to undress in front of our young women and then asking our young women that they undress in front of males. And come August 1st, this is all going to be forced upon Mississippi due to the Biden Title IX rewrite that I know that you're not going to get to in a moment.
Yep.
But we all knew this rewrite was coming, and that's why the sponsors very carefully drafted the SAFER Act. And it is a strong bill. It is a solid bill. It actually does do something, and it has teeth. But this Title IX rewrite has given an even greater urgency that we must pass this the SAFER Act immediately. You had mentioned giving a little history about what's happened.
Yeah.
First thing I want to make clear is wise women don't judge motivations. We judge actions, and here are the actions. I'm going to kind of go through what happened in the House and then kind of what happened in the Senate real briefly without getting bogged down in too many of the technicalities. But on the House side, first, Representative Hurt's HB 1428 version of the SAFER Act was double referred, and it passed public property, but then the House killed it in Judd A. And this was the strongest version of the SAFER Act bill. Then the House inserted unrelated parental rights language from bills that the Senate killed. And I believe that was HB 900 and 1100. Both great bills, but it was added to the to the SAFER Act. In Senate version SB 2753.
Yep.
So then the House sent their conference report on Monday afternoon to the Senate conferees with their version that had added treble damages, and then I've heard even this morning and from the conferees that the House then went to the Senate conferees at 7:40 to discuss, literally, a few minutes before the deadline. After hearing Chairman Hood this morning, I had an idea, and I wondered if they had considered this, if the cause of action against colleges and universities and treble damages were important to the House. I wonder if they could have added that language to the definition-only bill of 1607. Or I wonder if they could have just passed Representative Hurst's version. So those are just two thoughts I had after this morning, but then let's go into the Senate actions. They passed an amended version of their original bill that initially did take out K-12 schools, initially did take out a lawsuit for damages against public entities, but it left in the Attorney General enforcement, and it left in a private cause of action by a woman against a male. So even that version had teeth. I was then told by the Senate conferees that the Senate sent over a conference report 2 weeks ago, and they sent the same thing to me, and I reviewed it line by line. And that was their original strong Senate version that had public property schools in it. And I have it before me now. It mentions public schools 4 times. And in lines 123 to 127, got it in front of me now, it says, public education building means any public facility or space owned, operated, rented, or leased by or rented or leased to any public school, public university, public community, or junior colleges and the institutes of higher learning. So that is the bill that the Senate sent over 2 weeks ago, and that's the one that they want. That's the one I heard that Lieutenant Governor Hosemann is behind. Now, what I'm confused about, and what a lot of Republican women are confused about, is why did the conferees not just sign the committee report just to meet the deadline, and then recommit it to conference so treble damages could be considered, or, if there's any other problems, consider it, but don't let it die. Keep the bill alive. And so where we are now, I think you saw yesterday that both sides passed different suspension resolutions to suspend both versions from the deadlines. And both now have to pass, is my understanding, the same suspension resolution in order to really bring Safer Life, the Safer Act back from the dead.
All right, so a lot to unpack there, Lesley. Let's stop there. So first, the Senate bill, which was authored by Senator Josh Harkins, that came over to the House originally. It's my understanding that Representative Hood, when he was being interviewed by Mr. Gallo this morning, he indicated that his concerns with that was that there was no teeth, I think is the terminology he used, in that legislation, and lacked cause of action, or perhaps didn't have sufficient definition of the cause of action. And also there was this desire for treble damages as well. Am I misrepresenting that? Is that your understanding of it?
Well, what happened was, in the original version, not the conferee report of the Senate, but in the original version, they had taken out K through 12 schools, but they left in enforcement by the AG, and they left in a cause of action by a woman against the male who's violating that statute. So there is teeth in it. But what's even more important is that the Senate conferees sent over the conference report and said, this is the one we want. It goes back to the original version that's the strongest, that has public schools in it, and it still has the cause of action, private cause of action, and an attorney general enforcement. It has that.
So I guess I'm confused as to why we couldn't get this conference report signed by all and just on the floor for a vote. I mean, what I heard from Representative Hood is that he had these concerns about this lack of teeth. And I'm going to ask you to explain as a lawyer what cause of action is to our audience that may not understand what that is.
It's the right to sue. If a woman is in one of the safe spaces and a man comes in there and will not leave, she can sue that individual.
Okay.
But to go back to what you were just alluding to, I have no explanation for you, Gerard, of how a Republican supermajority could let this happen. But I really do I challenge our lawmakers now, make it right immediately, no matter what. Right now, not next session, not next year. The sexual assault of one little girl is not worth waiting another year for. And I was very disappointed to see some of our lawmakers allow this crucial bill to die at the 11th hour, as we have the Biden administration's Title IX rewrite going into effect on August 1st.
Yeah, it's perplexing to me as well. I felt like this is something that's such common sense in a state such as Mississippi that it ought to make its way through both chambers and to the governor's desk. I mean, post haste. It should just be a no-brainer. And I'm shocked that we're sitting here at the 11th hour having to suspend the rules and having all these I guess, contentious discussions about the provisions of this legislation. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't understand it either. I don't have an answer for you, and I don't know why these issues weren't brought up during the entire session, during the whole 4 months, or even in the past 2 weeks. I don't understand that. I guess that would be a question for the ones that were in the room where it was happening. But, I do know that many of our lawmakers feel that They've been burned too many times. They've been working on all these bills that, as you know, have taken up so much oxygen in the room. But those bills have taken priority over the safety and privacy of girls across our state.
Yeah.
I know emotions are raw. I know tensions are high at the Capitol. Everyone's tired, but you cannot be too tired to protect women and girls in our state.
Yeah, I agree. So do you got to go, or can you stay for another segment?
I can stay for another segment.
All right, we got Lesley Davis with the Mississippi Advocacy Group. We're talking about the SAFER Act. We'll dig into these Title IX changes in the next segment. It's middays. We're visiting with Lesley Davis, founder and president of the Mississippi Advocacy Group. I believe there was a call last night, Lesley, certainly by Republican women's organizations in the local area at a minimum, to get to the Capitol to show solidarity and support for passing this legislation. I just want to share this with you as well. One of our listeners, I think she'd be fine with me sharing this, Casey Waters from Ocean Springs, the Gulf Coast, said she wrote a policy last summer. She's on the board down there at the school district, Ocean Springs, that said exactly, essentially, what the SAFER Act says, and was told we couldn't pass it because we would get sued. Only had one other board member willing to pass this policy, support it with her. Fall of 22, a parent reported that a transgender was using the girls' bathroom. A boy was using the girls' bathroom. Our administration said they did not know who we were talking about. I pushed the issue until he was identified and told he could no longer use the girls' bathroom. This is absolutely being allowed in Mississippi schools. We need this bill, says Casey. What do you think?
I completely agree. We need this bill. We need this now. And not only that, there's other ways that we can push back against this overreaching intrusion from the federal government into a state like Mississippi. This bill is going to protect schools from, in our state institutions from lawsuits. You have reported on that school district in Virginia that's already being sued for $30 million for failing to protect a young woman from being raped by a gender-fluid male in the girls' restroom. And one of the things that school boards across our state, I implore them, go ahead and put these things in all of your policies. We need every bit of defense that we can have, and that's a second line of defense. But, going back to what we were talking about, the bills, we would rather have a bill with an AG enforcement, a private cause of action, and no treble damage, than no bill at all, given what's going on with this Title IX rewrite. And whether it's single damages or treble damages, that is too small a difference to let a bill this crucial at this time in our history. And both sides have already said they want schools covered. So we're that close. You know what? Women and girls are not going to remember the excuses. No one's going to remember which side's at fault, but both chambers are going to either get the blame or they're all going to get the glory. And maybe that's unfair. Maybe it's, but it's true. Yeah.
So I want to point out to the audience the treble damage is triple.
Triple damage.
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure folks understood that. And you see that applied sometimes to certain cases where they're just considered so onerous, whatever the violation was, that the damages to the plaintiffs are increased by triple.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And this is too important to nitpick over some of these things. We can work those things out. We are too close. It's too important to play the blame game. And you know what? If honoring our women and protecting our girls matters to our male lawmakers, and if we really look at it, it's our male lawmakers who are making these decisions right now. They will get it done, period. There's a lot of good men and women down there wanting to do the right thing. You know them, I know them. But there's a lot playing politics, but they're playing politics, petty politics, with the lives of women and girls in Mississippi. And, I went into this process, Gerard, believing that these men, I believed them. They looked me in the eye, and they told me they were going to step up for our women and girls. They said, trust me, the SAFER Act will pass. And I believed them, and I still believe them, and I'm going to keep believing in them until I can't anymore. I just refuse to believe that these good men are going to let petty politics get in the way. That's not what good leaders do. And we've got too many good leaders down there. I do not believe they're going to look their wife and their daughters in the eye and say, I had a chance to protect you and I didn't. And I would just ask our leaders, implore them, history has provided you this moment at such a time as this. Let's get in the same room, get it done. You know, women and girls in our state don't have paid lobbyists. All they have is you, our leaders, our lawmakers. So don't let this moment pass. You will have to live with this decision, and you'll be accountable. You know, there's a quote by Abraham Lincoln, you know, that says that our leaders will be remembered in history for what they do. They will be remembered in important decisions like this, and that's what's going to happen here. And our lawmakers hold the power, but they also hold the responsibility. And history is going to remember who stood up for women and who stood up for little girls across our state.
It just does feel like there's some petty politics at play here. I mean, I guess more specifically, who gets credit for what. And then there's just seems to be some concern. I don't have anything, you know, concrete to support that. It's just an opinion. It just feels like that. And I hope we can set all those aside, those feelings of wanting to attach themselves to certain legislation and policy and really just do the right thing. Also, we shouldn't be concerned about the possibility of lawsuits. We make laws every day that, of course, always open up that possibility. If it's the right thing to do, it's the right thing to do regardless.
It is the right thing to do. You know, this is a hill worth dying on. This is a fight worth having. Yes, it's going to be challenged in court, but it's a very winnable fight. We have 95% of Mississippi voters who are in favor of a law like this. And then we already have other states around us that are leading. You know, Alabama, Utah, Florida, for instance, have passed similar bills like this. But this is Mississippi's moment to step up and shine and to lead. You know, I do believe that our courts are going to uphold this law. But if we lose this battle on what a man is and woman is, and we allow intact men into little girls' vulnerable spaces, we've lost every position that we may fight. We have to fight this. And like I said, we'd rather have a bill with AG enforcement, a private cause of action, and no treble than no bill at all, given what is at play with this radical and unscientific Title IX rewrite.
So that I got tagged on Twitter, by the way, yesterday in a pretty long thread of a discussion about this issue in general, and a person said, apparently is the mother of a transgender child, and said, until I sue the state for encroaching on my kids' civil rights and you pay for it, you don't know what's about to hit you, sort of deal. I mean, what do you think about that? How do you respond to that, Lesley, when you have this individual, these folks who are transgenders, certainly describe themselves as that, or perhaps they've had sex reassignment surgery, and you're denying them to use the facilities that they feel like identify with their gender, they feel like their civil rights are being encroached upon? How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, Gerard, you know, people can identify how they choose. They can live their lives as they choose. But one person's rights cannot intrude upon the other.
Agreed.
You cannot create equality as you're taking away the rights of one group and giving them to the other. And what the SAFER Act does is it really balances the rights between people that want to have a single-sex bathroom and those that can choose to use a unisex bathroom. And, you know, we are called to be kind to all people. Yeah. We're all made in the image of God. And I have the deepest compassion for families who have gone through this. But this bill is, like I said, balancing the interest of both of those. And, you know, it's not even the point that people who identify as transgender are more likely to be sexual predators, but it's rather that sexual predators have posed as transgender. I mean, we've got men gaming that system in order to gain access to vulnerable women and get next to their next victim. And, you know, the purpose of this bill is the protection of women to prevent sexual assaults.
Yeah.
Just as we were trying to get this bill through the legislature, you know, we've had several women raped. Mm-hmm. We had in July of 21, a Mississippi man brutally attacked and raped a woman in a bathroom stall at a Gulfport mall. You know, we've had a 38-year-old restaurant worker followed a 12-year-old into a original bathroom to get her number and later raped her in a truck. A special needs daughter claimed that her daughter was raped at Callaway High School girls' bathroom. And then even recently, in April, as we were working on getting this bill passed, there were two women who were voyeured.
Yeah, it's happening.
One is the Target.
We got to go, Lesley, but I appreciate you coming on and explaining this, and good luck today.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Gerard.
You bet.
Appreciate it very much.
You bet.
Bye-bye.